The Jaguar F-Type R is the British equivalent of a muscle car. But we all know that the people in power nowadays, they don't like these type of cars. They don't like muscle cars. They want everything to be an EV or a hybrid at best. This is unfortunately true for the amazing F-Type. This is the last year that Jaguar is making this amazing vehicle. For 2025, they're moving into complete electrification for all their models, and we're not going to see an F-Type like this anymore, which in itself is sad. But it's also kind of okay, because it would be an absolute shame if this car were to come back in 2025 as an EV. Like we said, this is a true muscle car. It has a 5-liter supercharged V8 producing 575 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, and it sounds absolutely amazing. It also has the most perfect color for the last year of an F-Type, which is British Racing Green. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the last hurrah from Jaguar, the F-Type R75. This is the 75th anniversary of Jaguar, and it is also the last year that they're making a true muscle car. So we're going to pop the hood here, and it opens in a very cool way, I have to say. And while we all love combustion engines and we're whining about everything going EV, you can't really see much when you pop the hood of a combustion engine because it's a lot of plastics and so on. But one thing that I really like about the F-Type R is that it's not turbocharged, it's not some kind of hybrid, it's a supercharged V8, which is kind of rare. The power delivery in this thing is amazing, which we will demonstrate here shortly. But again, 575 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. So like we said, this is the last year for the F-Type. However, in 2021, it was redesigned to look the way that it looks right now. We got new headlights, a lot sleeker look, very nice LED daytime running strip there. But I have to say, the first gen looked better to me. I'm not a huge, I mean, it looks good, but I'm not a huge fan of this redesign. I think they should have just refreshed the way that it looked prior to this, and just maybe, I don't know, did something with the headlights, not this much with the headlights. Now, one good thing about this anniversary package of the F-Type is that everything is blacked out. There's no real like silver or chrome details, which in my opinion makes it look so much better, especially with the British Racing Green and the black accents. Now, another thing that looks really good with this British Racing Green exterior are these 5-spoke satin wheels. These are an option, and thank God that our tester has them. The British also know how to design an elegant, sexy, and sporty looking car, whether it's a Jaguar F-Type R or a Bentley Continental GT, or yeah. Now personally, my favorite part of the F-Type has always been the rear end. Thank God they didn't really change up the rear taillights much during the refresh, because they look fantastic. And also definitive of an F-Type R, the one with the V8, is that it has quad-tip dual exhaust. And this thing sounds absolutely amazing. Just wait till we rev it up. It also has a very aggressive rear diffuser. The car just, it looks great. And it's also a typical hatch, so you got plenty of storage room in the back here. I mainly just have camera equipment and so on, but in typical Grand Tourer fashion, you can fit stuff in this sports car. Now, before we jump in, take a look at the interior and obviously drive it, I want to give a special thanks to Jaguar of South Hills for lending me their F-Type R75 for today's video. If you guys are in the market for an F-Type, this is obviously the time to buy one, because it is going away forever after this model year. I'm sure they're at some point going to come out with some kind of sporty coupe that's fully EV and super fast but extremely boring. It won't carry the soul and the DNA of this car. When it first was released in 2014, it was actually called the spiritual successor of the E-Type, considered to be one of the most beautiful looking cars ever made. So again, this is the year to buy an F-Type. I'm going to leave all of their contact information in the description below. Hit them up if you guys are in the market for the last F-Type ever made. All right, so let's jump in here. When the car is unlocked, the door handles stick out like such. The first thing we see here is very nice stitching, high quality feel in the leather, and also that it has the seat controls on the door panel. And then we also see the P75 anniversary badge right there in the door sill. The seats are great looking as well, and for sports seats, they're still very comfortable. They're not too firm. They got good bolstering, and also the design of them, it feels and looks high-end to me. All the stitching all through the interior of the car is high quality. So we're gonna start it up here because this is the most fun part. Now, when they first came out with the F-Type, it sounded a lot louder. It was a lot raspier. It felt more raw. Now, since then, for this gen, they've obviously put these boring, you know, fuel something filters or whatever it is they put in there to muffle the sound a little bit. And, you know, I can complain about that all day long, but it is a whole lot better than going fully EV. At least you have some sound. This thing sounds so good. Now you have an exhaust button here. Yeah, you can tell right away that it opens up the valves a little bit. Oh, you get a little crackle there. We love it. So it has a nice instrument cluster, LED, tachometer in the middle, and then speedometer right there. And that changes up if you put it in dynamic mode. Then the surrounding area turns red. And unless you have it in dynamic mode, you cannot access the performance setup part of the touchscreen. So I've been driving it around with the engine in dynamic, gear shift in dynamic, steering in dynamic, and the suspension in comfort actually, because it gets very, very bumpy when the suspension is in dynamic. Now we're going to take it out on the road here in just a second, but before that we'll just finish up here in the interior. It's actually pretty minimalistic, I have to say. You have your little buttons here for the auto start stop, then you got the exhaust button here, traction control button, and then different drive modes. Then you have your shifter here. You got to push the button right there, put it in drive, slap it like that to put it in sport, and then you can actually shift manually with the shifter or use the paddle shifters, and these have a very good feel as well. Solid, you know, metal feel. Now we're not gonna, you know, fiddle with the infotainment system too much, but one cool thing that I actually really like is if you click right there for, you know, where you want the fan to blow, and you want it to blow on you, hit there, and then the actual vents just pop up out of the dash like that. I think that's pretty cool. Some people might think that's corny gimmick or whatever. I love it. And then it goes back down. Back here you have a very interesting little, like, I don't know, storage type of net or whatever. I don't really know what you would put there, but it's, I don't know, it looks interesting. Nice classy button here for the glove box. I like that as well. But let's get out on the road. Now, while it has like a fuel particle filter, like I mentioned earlier, which kind of muffles the exhaust sound, something it does not have is corny induction noise. This sounds just pure. It is just all exhaust note, and it sounds so good. It is so sad that this car is going away. I mean, granted, you can buy used ones, but there won't be any new ones coming out. Man, I love it. The only thing I'm a little disappointed in regards to the sound and the feel when you're shifting with the paddles and so on, is that when you downshift, yeah, it doesn't really give you like a crackle or a pop like most of these cars would do. But it makes up for it when you hit the throttle. Man, this thing sounds good. So like we said, it's an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, of course. It's not a dual clutch, but it shifts pretty freaking quick. It's very responsive. It doesn't feel old or slow in any way. Also, an interesting thing is that even if you have the loud mode on, like the valves open, when you click the exhaust button, you have to kind of wait till 3,500 RPM, because that's when the loud comes on. So even here, if we close the valves, like those valves still open when you get past 3,500 RPM. So that is slightly confusing to me. You do notice a little difference in the tone when it's just idling when you open the valves, but it doesn't really do that much of a difference when you're really getting on it. So even if the valves are closed, it's still loud. I'll downshift a little bit here. See, I wish I would have heard like a pop. You don't hear that, but it shifts so aggressively as well when you have it in dynamic. So gear shift dynamic will take it out and put it in comfort. Yeah, it's a little, no, you know what, I don't really notice that much of a difference. Maybe it's more timid when you're not on the throttle as much, but as soon as you're on the throttle, it pretty much acts the same as it did in dynamic. The same with the exhaust valves. I do kind of like that. It's almost like the car is telling you, like, okay, well, if you're gonna be on the throttle, we're not gonna mess around with like a quiet exhaust and timid gear shift. You're gonna get it all. And when you have the car in dynamic mode, it's extremely easy to do launch control. Just come to a stop, put your foot on the brake, smash the pedal. You know what? I had it in second gear. I was like, man, that felt kind of slow. First gear. Since it has all-wheel drive, it just grips and rips. Ah! Listen to that! See, this stuff is all going away. It sucks. And I hate people that are like, oh, but EVs are quicker. Like, who cares? It doesn't give you that. You don't have that audible like symphony. You just have, yeah, it's just sad, man. Because F-Type R is truly unique. Love it. And this is stock. Can you imagine fiddling around with this exhaust a little bit? Ooh-wee! Man, it would be so loud. Dang, dude. But now that we're on a parkway here where we kind of have to drive responsibly, we can showcase that it has a gigantic panoramic sunroof. I don't know if it's very good for lighting when filming, so I keep it closed here. But it is definitely a very, very nice feature as well. Now, while it can be aggressive and it's fun to launch and, you know, it has the performance side of it, of course, it's also very comfortable and it can be very quiet in here. So all through the A-pillar and the headliner, we have Alcantara. It's nice to the feel. For passengers, you got an oh my god handle right here. I like how the British did it with the F-Type R. It's a perfect mix of elegance and classiness, and then also very aggressive. And as soon as you hit about 75, there's a pretty gigantic spoiler that pops up. So it has active aero as well. And you just see that thing pop up in the rear view mirror. Is very, very cool. Now we got to do another launch control. Jaguar says this will do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Man, it's aggressive and it grips, man. Dude, I love this car. It's insane. So you get classiness and elegance. You get aggressiveness when you want it. You also get pretty good fuel economy as well on the highway. This supercharged V8 will get you 24 miles to the gallon, which is, I mean, that's pretty good for something with 575 horsepower. So what do you pay for a Jaguar F-Type R75? Well, this one is fully loaded and the MSRP is $120,000. So what does it really compare to? Well, I think it is pretty unique in the segment. One car is the Lexus LC500, which is also unique. That is a purely naturally aspirated V8 car. It doesn't have a supercharger, so not quite the same performance. We also have like a 911 Carrera, but for what you get, the feel, the luxury, and the performance and the sound, 120 grand isn't too bad. I was very pleasantly surprised by this Jaguar F-Type R75 today. And again, I want to give a huge thanks to Jaguar Land Rover South Hills for letting me spend the day with it and make a video for you guys. Let me know what you guys think of the F-Type R, and also what's going on in the automotive industry, where everything is going towards electrification and you won't have glorious sounding V8s anymore. You guys know what I think already, but I want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, bye-bye.